Hey, Demi. So, Dr. Smart wants us to wrap this patient's hand. He just sutured his thumb, and it needs a bulky dressing on the right thumb. Now, I have the equipment here that you need to do this. Have you ever used a bulky dressing device before?
Yeah, I've used these in clinical before.
Okay.
In the school.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you take care of this, and I'm going to go down to room 2, and I'm going to make sure it's clean. And then when I get back, you should be done by then, and I'll check it to make sure that the dressing is done, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead and do that. So meanwhile, while Demi is taking care of Mr. Patient's thumb, I went down to room 2 and made sure that it was clean and made sure that she had sufficient time to finish the wrapping and the bulky dressing. So anyway, so she's almost done, I believe. And I'm going to go back and check on it in about 2 minutes. And okay, so she's at the door now, and she's waving to me that it's all done. So I'm gonna walk on down to that room now, and I'm gonna check on the hand. And
I did it.
You did it. Demi, I think that I probably should have discussed this with you prior and had you show me how to do it. I'm sorry, Mr. Patient, but this thumb, this device should not actually be on the thumb at the same time. It should just be bulky dressing. You aren't supposed to be taking this home with you. I guess that, I should have had you go through this with me. I wanted you to be as independent as possible, and that's my fault. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do this properly, and we'll just unwrap this bulky dressing. And I apologize for this, sir. It's my fault. I should have made sure that she knew how to apply this properly. And we'll go through that together in a few minutes, and I'll show you how to do it, okay?
Okay.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Patient.
Thank you.
So I proceeded to show Demi how to correctly place the bulky dressing, and apologize to Mr. Patient again, since he kind of got stuck in the middle of that oops. And I really should have communicated better with the new nurse about how she understood the procedure. I did have an opportunity to read through some information about teaching new nurses clinical skills, and one of the articles that I came across is actually called Teaching Clinical Skills to Pre-Registered Nurse Education Courses. And they had some very interesting processes to go through. And one of the processes that they mentioned was Peyton's 4 steps of learning. And this is specifically for skills education. So the first step in Peyton's model is called real-life demonstration. And this is when the trainer actually teaches the learner how to do a clinical skill, and they work through it together. And then the second step is when the trainer talks through the trainee. So that's when the trainee would actually perform the skill, and then the trainer would walk them through the steps to make sure that they're doing it correctly. And then the third step, which I thought was very interesting, and I think it's a great way to learn, is when the learner talks through the trainer. So then what you would do is the trainer would perform the clinical skill, and the learner would be the one who would talk through the trainer. And then they would see what mistakes that the person might be making and explain it. And once you've explained to somebody a mistake or how something is done, it's much easier to remember how to do the clinical skill yourself. And then the fourth step is when the learner actually does it on their own independently. So I know that these steps sound like they're a long process, But one of the issues that they mentioned with Peyton was that novices are often unaware of what they do not know, and this is actually considered unconscious incompetence, and that by protecting the safety of the patients and going through these steps with the new nurse, you've now made the nurse know what she doesn't know, and she's become consciously incompetent, which doesn't sound much better, but that's what he said. So even though these steps seem like they might take a long time when you're trying to teach a new nurse a skill, I think that the nurse ends up being more confident in what they're doing, and if it's done in a safe area, then no patients will be compromised with their health. Not that wrapping a bulky dressing over a finger is in any way going to endanger somebody's life, but it's certainly a clinical skill that somebody needs to do, and I'm sure that Mr. Patient would have appreciated if it had been done correctly the first time, and the nurse would have had a good clinical experience under her belt for that day, because she would have felt like she had done something that she had done something that she was proud of and that she knew how to do now. So as a preceptee, I do now follow this 4-step models where I talk through, and then I demonstrate, and then the trainee demonstrates back to me, and then the learner demonstrates back to me, and then the learner does it independently with the patient. And I have found that that's a very effective way to communicate to a new nurse and to teach.